Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. My name's Diachronicos here on this Destiny 2 video, and today we're going to be talking about my top 5 favorite Titan exotics in Destiny 2. And of course, this list is going to be completely subjective, completely my own opinion of my own play style in both PvE and PvP, so obviously take this with a grain of salt. You are obviously going to have your own play style, your own way of doing things, and your own favorite exotics. And of course, in the comments down below, let me know what your favorite exotics are and why. I always want to know the why and how it compares to the ones that I already have. An example would be if it's all about ad slaying and PvE, tell me why it's better than the choice that I have. Throughout my entire video, I'm going to be doing exactly that. I'm going to be talking about why it is I used it, for the reasons I use it, and how effective it is at doing what I want it to do. And of course, this video will be accompanied by its own specific spreadsheet for all of the different Titan exotics I've considered throughout the game, updated to the new Armor 2.0 system with the beautiful color coding, all the little pictures, as well as elemental affinities, extra notes, and all that stuff. We'll talk about that near the end of the video. And the last thing I want to mention before I get into the cute and fluffy animals is going to be something that I learned that was actually quite important to all of these armor pieces, is that every single exotic armor in the game is locked to a very specific elemental affinity. So every time you get an Insurmountable skull fort to drop, it will be an arc version. What that means is that it can only have a specific set of weapons that it can actually affect. For example, the arc helmets have things for targeting and ammo finder for bows, machine guns, pulse rifles, and shotguns. So you can only have those weapons on the arc version. And if you want to find more information about all of the different elemental affinities, you want to know what weapons are on what types of elemental affinities, what kind of perks are on different kinds of armor pieces, I made a video recently about armor mods. Make sure you check it out. I'll try to leave it in the description down below. And of course, no big Diachronic video would be complete without cute and fluffy animals near the beginnings of my videos. And if you wanted to get 5% off anything from the puppy store, as we'll call it, make sure you click the link in the description down below. And if you want to get 10% off, which I think is 20% off right now, they have a special promotion going on, anything from the kitty store, you can also find the link in the description down below. Psst, that's code for puppy equals Astro and kitty equal control freaks. Link in the description down below. Without further ado, let's go ahead and get into it. Starting up with number 5 in this top 5 countdown, we have the exotic helmet known as an Insurmountable skull fort. This exotic has kind of fluctuated between number 5 to number 7, back and forth. People are always yammering about it needing to be in the top 5, and I gotta say, first and foremost, I love this exotic. I think it is incredibly fun to do. Just melee a bunch of enemies, get your health back after getting hits and whatnot, get your grenade energy up with Code of the Earthshaker, and get tons and tons of pulse grenades and all that whatnot. Even with the Code of the Missile, you can get super energy. It's a lot of fun. But it's also a bit dangerous, which is why it's stuck at number 5 and it's not closer to the front, is you have to go for melees, and that is dangerous in the end game. That being said, this thing is a lot of fun. The fact that you basically get an entire melee charge just by getting a melee energy kill means you can use your melee energy kill to be able to get your melee charge back, and you just get infinite melee hits, infinite melee energy as long as you keep getting kills. On top of that, this is also quite effective in PvP as well. As long as you're doing your little shoulder charge with Code of the Earthshaker, you can one-shot enemies, still have your melee charge, run up, and then do it again to the next person. On top of that, it is an arc affinity exotic, meaning that it can have things with pulse rifles and shotguns, which is really good in PvP. And the very last thing I want to mention about this exotic is the fact that it does have some pretty great synergies with some of the seasonal artifact mods. Now, if you haven't tried Column 4 or Column 5 mods from the seasonal artifacts, you are missing out, because these are some of the more powerful mods in the entire game. And right now, they have big synergies with arc melees and void grenade. And because this exotic is based around arc melees, you get a lot of crazy bonuses with all of them. So the part in pink you can see on screen now, any one of these work great with this exotic. Moving on to number 4 in this top 5 countdown is going to be the exotic boots known as Lion Rampant, otherwise known as the speed boots, the jump boots, and the agility boots for the Titan. Now, there are other boots that are actually supposed to be the speed boots, the Dune Marchers, but in many tests that I've done with both of these exotics, the Lion Rampants have always performed better than the Dune Marchers. And that's because when you're in your lift mode as a Titan, you're moving faster than your regular sprint mode. And if you're trying to make the most out of your lift, Lion Rampant is going to get you farther every single time. On top of that, you'll find yourself dying less often in a pit because you'll actually have more jet boost to get around, and in general you have better aerial maneuverability because you basically have strafe jump built into the exotic itself, which still works great with actually strafe jump. So why is this exotic at number 4? It's just a speed boost. Firstly, in PvE, being able to go faster is just generally a great thing to have. Being able to get through a strike faster, be able to get to a boss faster, be able to rush towards an enemy with a shotgun faster, these are all great things to have in both PvE and PvP. On top of the fact, you can also escape faster. Being able to escape combat in both PvE and PvP, allowing you to get away from the target more easily, run away from supers in PvP, it is a very powerful thing to have. And honestly, a bit underrated. And the last little bit of it is you can actually hip fire while staying in your lift mode while flying through the air. That kind of makes you feel like a badass, although it's not the most useful thing in the world. However, after getting used to it after a little while, I started to see how you could be very aggressive, move very quickly, and still kind of dump on the competition. Moving on to number 3 in this top 5 countdown is going to be the exotic helmet known as Helm of Saint 14, and probably a lot of you are going to be surprised how far up the list this exotic has actually achieved. But honestly, this is not the season of the Undying, this is the season of the Titan, because Ward of Dawn is king. Hopefully by the end of this section, I can prove to you that the Ward of Dawn is the most overpowered thing we've seen in Destiny 2. So first and foremost, let's talk about the exotic itself. Any enemies that enter your Ward of Dawn are blinded, literally white screen, and they cannot see anything for a little while. Allies that enter get an overshield. It's also omni useful for all of your sentinel needs because your sentinel shield also blinds enemies nearby. Now in PvE, most people use this to get the Weapons of Light damage buff, which is the biggest player damage buff in the entire game of 35%, better than Well of Radiance and all the other buffs. Basically, every raid demands at least one Ward of Dawn Titan to be successful. On top of that, the bubble's also really good for fighting enemies at close range. You know, in Reckoning on the bridge, if you have those big yellow health enemies, it can literally block the entirety of their melee hits and make it so you don't get flung off the edge. And in PvP, which in my opinion is extremely underrated, this thing makes you nearly invincible to everything. On screen now, you can see a couple of examples of just how powerful the Ward of Dawn is, shooting me in the head constantly with Ace of Spades, punching me over and over again, shooting me directly in the head with shotgun shots, with sniper shots. I take so many shots to kill with this overshield, which can in fact be refreshed by walking out and back in. I have seen literally countdown games where the guy goes on top of the bomb, plants it, puts a bubble up, 4 people rush in to shotgun melee his ass, and they all die because this overshield is way too strong. Even a golden gun headshot doesn't even kill you while you're in this bubble in PvP. The only things that can kill you in one shot are gonna be Acreus and Celestial Nighthawk, which is a very powerful thing to have. And on top of that, there's a part of the subclass in the Ward of Dawn Code of the Protector where if you get a melee kill, the subsequent melee hits will one-shot enemies. So 4 people rush in, punch that first guy twice, and then everybody else is a 1 punch after that, and it blows my mind how powerful it is. And that is why this should be called Season of the Titan. Because we ain't dying out of here, bro! Moving on to number 2 in this top 5 countdown is going to be the exotic helmet known as the One-Eyed Mash. Now this has been tearing it up in the Crucible for a very long time. Ever since Forsaken came out, this thing has been destroying. They've nerfed it twice, and it is still a very powerful option that they're looking to nerf yet again. Now why is this exotic so powerful? Firstly, it's like the holy trinity of exotics. It's 3 exotics in one. If you look at all of the buffs that all of the other exotics in the game can offer, they usually focus on one category. This exotic gives you wall hack information through walls, it gives you overshield bonus, health regeneration, and it also gives you a damage bonus. That's the holy trinity of information, damage bonus, and health. Let me give you some more examples. The Foe Tracer helmet for the Hunter allows you to see enemies through walls once you damage them, just like One-Eyed Mask in a slightly different way. The Wormhusk Crown, when you use your dodge ability, it gives you a health bag, kind of like the Overshield Recharge, the One-Eyed Mask. And then there's also things like Kill Clip. You get a kill with your weapon, you reload, you get a damage bonus. And it's all 3 of these things in one. There are very few exotics in this game that give you more damage to your gun, and this thing gives it to you with everything else. And that's why this thing is overpowered. It is, by definition, overpowered, and I think the only way for this exotic to be nerfed properly is for you to rip out part of this exotic. It cannot have all three of these things, and if you dilute all three of them enough, then they're all going to be useless. Outside of that, there's really not much more to say about it. It's extremely easy to use because all you have to do is exist, get kills, get shot. It's not difficult. And finally, coming up at number 1 in this top 5 countdown is going to be the exotic chest piece known as Hallowfire Heart. And I know people immediately are going to listen to that and think I'm crazy because that is ridiculous. No, this thing is way better than people are giving it credit for. And the reason that is because you don't actually realize how much it gives you. So this exotic special perk called Sunfire Furnace improves the recharge rate of your solar abilities. That means your melee and your grenade, and it greatly improves the recharge rate while your super is charged. Now normally, things that improve your ability to recharge rate, like for example the Heart of Inmost Light, gives you maybe like a 10-20% bonus to those things, so it's a little bit faster, but it's not kind of game breaking. Hallowfire Heart, the base amount of recharge rate for your melee and your grenade is 100% faster. It is twice as fast, just base without the super. And when you do have a full super charge, it's 4 times this speed. I am not kidding. Your grenade goes from like 80 something seconds down to 20 seconds. Your melee goes down to near 10 seconds. That allows you to hammer strike nearly every elite in the game. Combine that with Ikelos, melee damage, 125% more damage with those 3 shots of Ikelos will destroy everything in the game. And that is an extremely powerful neutral game, especially when you're like me and you're kind of using your super in a too good to use kind of syndrome. You want to wait for a lot of enemies to show up, or you want to use it to survive. Being able to basically be fine with the fact that your super is charged and get benefits from that is just so powerful. The only downside to this exotic is that it's only for the solar trees in your Titan, meaning you can't use it with Sentinel or Striker, but honestly, you have your versions for those guys. Hallowfire is the king, in my opinion, for your solar trees. And lastly, a little bit of insight for the perks you want to choose. You want things like Momentum Transfer, Impact Induction, so your grenades and melees help each other. Get hands on an Ashes to Asset, so your grenades and melees give you super, and it's just basically a vicious circle that just gives you more super, more grenades, more melees, and a lot of incredible neutral game options. And that is going to be pretty much it for the top 5 countdown. Moving on to the spreadsheet section of the video, I'm going to be showing off my spreadsheets, which you can see on screen right now, which I make for all of my top 5 videos in a beautiful dark theme with pictures, with my full top 10 rating in case you wanted to know more, exotics that are really nice, all of my best mod recommendations for this armor piece, as well as the other armor pieces that you'd use with it, with the new system of Armor 2.0, the combination of perks and mods into one, the seasonal armor mods, the best classes, subclasses for particular exotics, activities, extra notes, all of the legends for the color coding, the acronyms, the general notes, the sources, everything is here. And I know this is completely biased, but I've been on the internet and played video games for a long time, probably 10,000 hours for each one of those, and it's very infrequent when you find a spreadsheet so well made for your uses. So please use the spreadsheet as much as you want, download it from whatever. Also check out some of the other tabs, like all of the armor mods you can get in the game are all listed and color coded. One of my previous videos, the previous versions for the other classes, this is all still here in case you wanted to use any of this stuff. So I recommend check it out, use it. It's really useful. And of course, if you had questions about the spreadsheet or Destiny 2 or my channel or my videos, let me know in the comments down below. And if you wanted a faster response, hit me up on Discord. There's a hashtag question section on my Discord server, and I'd be more than happy to answer it. But that's it. Hope you guys did enjoy. My name's been Chronic, and I will see you guys on the next one.